Hi everyone, welcome to Hot Seat with Cognizant Clay. I am your host, Clayton Terrio. Today on the show we have Craig Cunningham. Craig spent time in the NHL with the Arizona Coyotes as well as the Boston Bruins. In 2016, while playing for the Coyotes' AHL affiliate, the Tucson Roadrunners, he suffered sudden cardiac arrest. His heart stopped for nearly 90 minutes, but he survived to tell the tale. We talk about his extensive recovery, his career, and so much more. I hope you guys enjoy it. Voice. But yeah, thanks a lot for doing this. I really appreciate it. This is it's an honor.
Yeah, no problem, bud.
Yeah, for sure. So how are you doing through all the quarantine? How's that going?
Oh yeah, it's been a challenge for sure. I can't remember the last time I stayed in one place this long in my life, so it's been a little different that way. And I'm lucky here in Phoenix. The weather's beautiful. We've got a pool, and I got a home gym, and I'm able to stay busy and get out and about, and still stay basically in quarantine. So I'm good. How are you making out?
Good, good. Honestly, like as you know, I do have muscular dystrophy, so I'm kind of used to staying put a lot of the time because it's
Yeah.
very hard to travel and whatnot. But I'm pretty accustomed to it, so it's going really well. And I started this blog because of it, and it's been a lot of fun. It's raising awareness for the disabled community is very important to me. So that's why like I'm very proud that you're doing this because your story I feel is quite spectacular and I'm very proud to be able to share it.
Oh, thanks, man. Appreciate it. Yeah, appreciate the interest, and it's always, I think it's now that I'm living in this world, it's a bit of a dark cloud at first, but I think once you get accustomed and you meet some people that are kind of in the same situation as you, one guy told me it's the same but different. Everyone's kind of got different challenges, but been cool to be a part of the community and meet all the different people and learn about all their struggles and triumphs that they've overcome.
Yeah, for sure. So for my viewers, Craig, you're a former professional hockey player. You played for the Boston Bruins, the Arizona Coyotes, and then you were the captain of the Tucson Roadrunners. And unfortunately, on November 19th, 2016, you collapsed due to sudden cardiac arrest, and your heart stopped for nearly 90 minutes, which is I could not imagine. So due to the quick action of the firefighters, the medical professionals, they were actually able to you know, basically save your life. So to start off, can you tell me just a little bit about that experience?
Sorry, but yeah, so I kind of like blacked out for like the whole week. Like I hardly even remember playing in Tucson, which is I think I played 9 or 10 games there and been on a couple of different road trips and stuff. So I couldn't really remember even playing there. My mom had flown in for the weekend, so she was there as well when I got hurt, which was obviously a blessing in disguise. But leading up to the events, I can't remember anything. I had some pretty weird dreams and thoughts there in the coma that I was in, and just trying to like look back on some of that stuff, and I can laugh about it now, but I mean, man, it was a scary time. And then obviously when you wake up from the coma and you're just trying to kind of process everything, and you got no idea really what's going on, and obviously pretty foggy at the start, and mental capacity wasn't all there. And my brother and mom had some pretty funny stories about some of the stuff I would do and say, but it was scary, man. It was really scary once I kind of had come to and had realized what had happened. And it took a lot of people explaining different things to me to kind of grasp the severity of the situation. But once it was there and once it was real, it was scary times, man. Very scary.
Yeah, for sure. And so, well, I honestly couldn't imagine. So you were put on, I might butcher the pronunciation here, but extracorporeal membrane oxygenation, which is it basically acts as an artificial lung to keep, your lungs working and all that. And after getting a call from St. Mary's, Dr. Zane Calpe mobilized his team and put you on this machine. So you also underwent a rare procedure to decompress your heart, which had only been done, I believe, 3 times before that. It was a rather new technology. So in the ESPN documentary, you and your doctor, Joe Cow, you grabbed him by the scruff of his shirt and had no idea who he was. Do you remember what first went through your mind when you first woke up?
You know what? No, because I mean, I don't remember doing that. I have like weird memories, of like, um,
Cut off again. Again. Okay, so I'm just gonna restart that question.
yeah, go ahead, buddy.
Yeah. So for my viewers, you are a former professional hockey player. So you played for the Bruins and the Coyotes. You were also the captain of the Tucson Roadrunners, which is the HL affiliate of the Coyotes. And unfortunately, on November 19th, 2016, you collapsed due to sudden cardiac arrest. Due to the quick action of firefighters, team staff, and medical professionals, they were in turn able to save your life. To start off, can you just tell me a little bit about that experience?
Sorry, but yeah, I mean, so I kind of like blacked out for like the whole week. Like I hardly even remember playing in Tucson, which is I think I played 9 or 10 games there and been on a couple of different road trips and stuff. So I couldn't really remember even playing there. My mom had flown in for the weekend, so she was there as well when I got hurt, which was obviously a blessing in disguise. But leading up to the events, I can't remember anything. I had some pretty weird dreams and thoughts there in the coma that I was in, and just trying to like look back on some of that stuff, and I can laugh about it now, but I mean, man, it was a scary time. And then obviously when you wake up from the coma and you're just trying to kind of process everything, and you got no idea really what's going on, and obviously pretty foggy at the start, and mental capacity wasn't all there. And my brother and mom had some pretty funny stories about some of the stuff I would do and say, but it was scary, man. It was really scary once I kind of had come to and had realized what had happened. And it took a lot of people explaining different things to me to kind of grasp the severity of the situation. But once it was there and once it was real, it was scary times, man. Very scary.
Yeah, for sure. And so, well, I honestly couldn't imagine. So you were put on, I might butcher the pronunciation here, but extracorporeal membrane oxygenation, which is, it basically acts as an artificial lung to keep, your lungs working and all that. And after getting a call from St. Mary's, Dr. Zane Calpe mobilized his team and put you on this machine. So you also underwent a rare procedure to decompress your heart, which had only been done, I believe, 3 times before that. It was a rather new technology. So in the ESPN documentary, you and your doctor, Joe Cow, you grabbed him by the scruff of his shirt and had no idea who he was. Do you remember what first went through your mind when you first woke up?
Yeah, I mean, so obviously Kim, I think I was in the coma for, I don't know the exact details anymore, but like 8 to 10 days, I believe it was somewhere around there. And then obviously you slowly come out of those things. So they may bring you out of the coma slowly, and it takes even longer for your brain to kind of acclimate to what's going on around you. So I think it was at least another 10 to 14 days after I had come out of the coma before I realized the severity of the situation. And then, obviously, once I got a grasp on things and, kind of realized what was going on and where I was, that I was really in a very tough situation. And, it was a little touch and go there for a long time. So it was hard on me mentally, but I think it was harder on, my family and my coaches and teammates and stuff and people around me, because they were actually living it every day. Well, I slept through half the scariest part.
Yeah, for sure. And the one thing that really resonated with me in the documentary was your mom, because as a disabled person myself, you hate to put your mom in that situation. You know what I mean? Like your mom's your mom. You don't want her to suffer at all. And but like you say, it's such a miracle that you came out of that, and just I'm sure the support was very appreciated by you for sure. Like that's a rough thing to go through.
Yeah, like I said, I mean, it was obviously nice that my mom was down there already when it happened. So I think it was, obviously she wasn't there, and how the communication goes, and things are crazy, and although I'd played there a long time, it's not like she had she knew the trainers or the doctors or anything like that. So, yeah, I mean, and then obviously the rest of my family was right down by my side the whole time, and lots of friends and family from home. Different guys that I played with throughout my career that were injured at the time, or teams had granted them permission to leave, and I just felt like every day someone new and special was coming down to visit, and I think that really keeps your spirits alive. I mean, at first you're kind of grateful and things when you figure out like, oh wow, I really was part of the 2 or 3 or 4 or 5% that make it through those situations. And then you go through that time where you start to feel sorry for yourself and this and that, and the brain starts going in 1,000 different directions. So having all those people there all the time really, they allowed me to not think as much about it and feel sorry for yourself, and just kind of talk about regular things. It was not all about like, oh, this or that. It was talking about hockey or talking about things that we used to always talk about, and just trying to get some sort of normalcy back in your life was huge.
Yeah, for sure. Like I honestly could not imagine. Like you say, it takes probably several, like a few years almost to get used to the new life too. Like, oh my God, like I really could have died that day. And I think it gives you a new perspective. And so due to complications, half of your left leg was actually amputated, but with help from prosthetics, you were able to skate again. How did your perspective change due to that and not being able to play at the level you were playing at?
Um, you know what? At the start, it was hard. It was just kind of like, like I loved hockey. I mean, my whole life was hockey. I mean, from the time I was 4 years old to the day my career ended, like I gave everything I had to the game, and I spent all my time focusing on that, and everything I ate, and every time I went to bed, and how long I slept, and days off, and weekends out with friends. I always would kind of gauge that, and figure out, okay, I can, this weekend I can have fun with my friends, or this week I can take off, or okay, this week I'm doing extra or whatever it was. And kind of having to come to terms with that, something that had driven you and been beside you your whole life was no longer there, was really hard to start. And obviously when I was still playing, you don't really think about life after hockey, which I somewhat regret a little bit now. But um, there's a lot of opportunity outside of playing the game, to continue to stay in the game. So obviously, I'm experiencing that right now, and yeah, it was really hard at the start, but I think when you really sit down and think hard about it and realize how lucky you are to still be alive and enjoying every day. The game is secondary. At the end, it's a job and it is a game, and although you love it, it eventually comes to an end. And um, unfortunately, mine came to an end about 10 years earlier than I hoped, and I've had to kind of move on from there.
Yeah, for sure. And the perspective is big. Like hockey has always been my favorite sport, and I live and breathe it as well. But not being able to play really makes you like I obviously can't relate because you were a professional, but just not being able to play and going through the okay, you know what, it isn't my entire life. I'd love to still be playing, but at the same time, like you say, there's nothing you can do about it. The only thing you can do is change your mentality. And I think that's like, you know what I mean? It's very different, but you have no choice.
Yeah, I mean, it is like I always say, like it's so generic, but it is what it is. I mean, you play the deck of cards that you get dealt, and that's just the way life works. you might not always like your hand at first, but I think you always find a way to make that hand work. And I think me and you and millions of other people are doing that on a daily basis. And I think now with the amount of coverage that the Challenge Athletes Foundation gets, and people with disabilities are not letting it slow them down. And you're seeing all these great videos. Like, I remember after I got hurt and I lost the leg, and I had no idea what life was going to be like. Now I had never, I'm from Canada. We don't have a big military population there, where primarily a lot of the amputees that are still active and doing things come from in the United States. And obviously there is a lot of other amputees that don't come out of the military, but you see the crazy things those people are doing, and they're climbing the highest peaks in the world, and they're squatting and deadlifting 400 and 500 pounds, and it's not slowing them down. So I would spend days on end in my room, at night after everyone had gone home, just watching YouTube and Instagram videos of amputees. And I think that really, shone a brighter light on things for me. It was just like, eventually, like, okay, I never knew what I was going to be able to do or what I wasn't going to be able to do. And, as I'm starting to realize now, I don't think there's really anything that I can't do. It's just everything's a little bit adapted a little bit. And, maybe I'm not quite as fast as I used to be or quite as powerful, but still able to do it, and in a better situation than a lot of people.
Definitely, and thanks for sharing that, because that, I think that's important for a lot of young people with disabilities, that focus on what you can do, because there's a lot more than you think you can do. And it's like, my main thing is video games. Like, video games allow me to be active, and like you say, the technology now is just amazing. Like, people climbing mountains, people deadlifting, like it is quite amazing for sure. So after all this, you became a scout for the Arizona Coyotes. How is that as a job? Like, I'm very curious to hear about, like, what you do day in, day out.
Yeah, that was a new experience for me too. Obviously, again, when you're playing, you're just razor focused, and you don't really realize kind of what's going on around you, and et cetera, et cetera. So, it's a lot of travel, man. It's on the road. You're on the road a lot. It depends if you're doing amateur, pro. I ended up doing both. I think I ended up spending 20 plus days a month away on the road, just in city to city, kind of living out of the hotel. And I really enjoyed it. I mean, it's watching pro is obviously, you get to watch the best players in the world play, and you kind of, when you're playing, you gotta kind of put that out of your head, like, oh man, I'm playing against Sidney Crosby tonight, or I'm playing with Bergeron today, or whatever it is. And um, you know how good those guys are, but I don't think you really truly appreciate it, because you're playing the same game as them, and you're trying to fit in every day. So scouting has been, it's been great. I mean, not only did I love playing hockey, but I was a huge fan of hockey, and I love studying the game and watching and looking up, hockey DB and elite prospects and all that. So I always had a bit of a knack for history and the game, and who was drafted where and what happened, and stuff like that. So it just, I mean, I think it shines the light of the game in a different way. And I really enjoyed it. Travel was tough at times. I mean, especially when I was a new amputee trying to figure out the leg. You have good days, you have bad days. The leg is shrinking, swelling, all that stuff. So it's tough to deal with when you're on the road. But it was just a mental release, man. You're on the road, you're alone in the hotel rooms. You don't have people asking you this or asking you that. You're kind of just, it gave me some time to really figure out, what was going to happen here, and take things slow on the road with what I was doing.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it, like you say, it's an adjustment, but it's different, and there's pros and cons to both. And I think, like you say, like, it from a fan's perspective, all the best players in the world, we're watching that, and it's amazing. But to play against it, you obviously think about, oh my God, Crosby's on the ice. Like, you're almost in awe, but you have to kind of refocus and say, you know what, this is about the team. It's about the logo on my sweater, and we're gonna do our best to beat him. Or, like you say, playing with Bergeron, I like. wow, I have this guy on my side. Anything's possible. Do you, who would have been your favorite player that you played with in your career, would you say?
Ooh, that's wow. Yeah, I mean, probably it was really cool to play with Bergeron and Chara. You just see those guys and the consistency that they bring, and how valuable they are to the organization, and how great of people they are in the locker room, and being around them every day was just it was cool to see these guys and how hard they worked every day. I mean, it was insane how hard these guys worked every day. And, every minute they were, everything they ate, everything they drank, everything they thought of was all gauged towards the game. And, it was really cool to see those two guys and how they went to work every day and were razor focused. And I think when I got to Arizona, being able to be in the locker room with Shane Doan and just kind of see, you hear all these stories about how great of a person he is and all this stuff. And you get there and you see it and you're like, holy man, no wonder this guy has the best reputation across the league. He's an unbelievable person. And just to see guys that have lasted that long in the league. I mean, it's not easy to play, a long time in the league. And I think, just watching those guys every day that have been in the league for a long time and the way they conduct themselves and, the way that their nutrition, their training, how hard they practice, they're on time, how good they are to their teammates in the locker room. I mean, there's a reason those guys just stay around the game for as long as they do and have the success that they do.
Guys on the Bruins, as a fan, I really do understand what you mean by the professionalism, because a lot of teams have trouble playing against them because they're just so, they have I think the perfect mix of veterans and young guys, and the chemistry is just amazing. Like, I think Chara could play with anybody. Same with Bergeron.
Yeah, I mean, those guys are, I mean, it's unbelievable what they've been able to accomplish and continue to accomplish year after year. And the consistency of that team. I mean, those guys that, you look at Marchand and Pasternak and, guy that I think is one of the most underrated guys in the league, Krejci and Tuukka Rask. And, now they got all these young guys that they've been able to throw into the lineup like McAvoy and Carlo and these guys and Torrey Krug. Like, it's just the culture there is impressive, man. And I think the culture drives that organization to a high standard that they set for themselves every year, and they've done a heck of a job, man. They're fun to watch, and was very very lucky to be a part of that organization for the short time I was.
Yeah, for sure. And like I was saying, the jersey in the back there, the Coyotes jersey in 2006, I actually went to Arizona. My Make a Wish choice was the Coyotes, because I had met, like, I'm from Ontario, so I had met a lot of the Leafs through Easter Seals and other charities. So I picked that, and Shane Doan and Curtis Joseph and also Mike Comrie. They stayed in the dressing room and talked to me for like an hour and a half, and I really saw a different perspective, especially as a young man. Like, it was very different, and Shane Doan is just exceptional. Like, the guy is the epitome of Canadian hockey. Just utmost respect, and just the skill level as well was quite amazing to see.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't met another guy that's quite like him. I mean, he's just a very welcoming. I mean, I was a young player that was a borderline fringe NHL guy that got picked up on waivers, and he treated everyone the same. He was an incredible leader, teammate, professionalism. You're talking about a guy who brings it every day and is so consistent in who he is and what he does. It was just very lucky to watch and be a part of. And him and his wife actually came down to when I was at a rehab facility after I'd gotten hurt, and cooked a big meal, and brought down a gift basket and sat around there with me and my mom, and just the type of guy and the family man that he is. And just lucky to have played in both places with great people in each organization.
Yeah, and the one thing that's great to hear about him, just coming to show his support to you. Like, I think no matter who it is, he would do that. And it's a funny story, because when I was in the dressing room, I had one of those like giant upper deck cards, and it was of Mike Comrie. And him and Shane are just standing there, and I bring this giant card out, and Shane goes, Hey, Mike, it's a life-size portrait, bud. And I'm just like, this guy, just incredible. Hockey humor is my favorite. So just fast forward a bit here to February 2018. You founded the All Heart Foundation, which was founded to raise awareness for sudden cardiac arrest and ultimately do your best to prevent it. Can you just tell me a little bit about that foundation?
Yeah, it's I mean, it's a 501(c)(3) nonprofit. We've got a couple of different projects in the works, and obviously with everything that's going on right now, we put a lot of stuff on hold. There's a lot of other matters that are screaming at people to kind of take care of right now. But we have created an app called the Rhythm Core app that is compatible with iOS and iPhone. So basically, it's an app that you wear, or sorry, that's on your Apple Watch, and it runs all day long, and it tracks each heartbeat you have. And basically, we're trying to figure out how to use it as a tool to predict sudden cardiac arrest through heart rate variability to try and prevent what happens, to me and lots of other people from happening to people in the future. But it's obviously a work in progress, and a lot of different people working on different angles of it. But I don't know, I just feel that, I was lucky enough to be on the other side of this thing. And, there's so many families that have lost loved ones to this that, if you get an opportunity to help or raise awareness or do whatever you can, I feel like it's kind of your duty to give back to what you're given the gift of to keep going on after a horrific event like that.
Yeah, and then that's I was reading up on it, and it's quite amazing how many little side projects. Like you say, it is on hold a bit, but I think work in progress is like, I hate to sound like, for lack of a better word, better than nothing. And if you focus on the little things, the more and more awareness and research gets out. And does Dr. Kelpie help you with that organization?
Oh yeah, he's him and his wife they're the brains of the operation. I mean, like, I got to admit, I'm just kind of riding coattails there with that crew. And they lose me in a lot of the conversations at points where they start going into deep dive into you know artificial intelligence and all that stuff. That's where I kind of get lost. So yeah, they've been incredible. I mean, it's just people always say you're always, you were in the right place at the right time. Well, I mean, I really was, just given the circumstances and the people that were around me and the relationships that I was able to build, after this whole thing ended. And I guess it's turned on a new light for me and a new path. And, kind of not necessarily the people I thought I'd have at my side here as I move through life, but, always looking for new people to be around and to listen to.
Yeah, definitely. And it's quite amazing. Like you say, you're just the patient, so to speak. But without you, this thing wouldn't exist. And I think, you know, a, a lot, I have a lot of doctors too, and it's like they start talking about things and you're like, what the hell are you talking about? Like, can I get a layman's term definition here, please? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know. I always tell him it's just a nice humble brag, when he uses some word, he just knows I'm not going to understand it. It's just a humble brag, just to bring me back down to reality every once in a while.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that, right? He's great at what he does. So,
Yeah.
it's good to just be on his crew, so to speak. So I have a little segment here I call rapid fire. I just ask my guests a few random questions just to get to know them a little bit better. So you grew up in Trail, BC. Who would be your favorite person from British Columbia?
Uh, my favorite person or like athlete?
Athlete or doesn't matter, just anybody.
Probably Ray Ferrero. He grew up just up the street from me, and obviously made it to the NHL. Had a really long career, and he's got two sons that are 2 years older than me and 1 year younger that I've become really close friends with, and spent a lot of time living at his place in the summer and being around him. And always kind of like a father figure for me growing up, and a guy that I could always bounce ideas off and get advice from. And continues to be in my life and support me to this day. So it's, I mean, a hockey player that makes it from your hometown, and then has kids that you have relationships with is definitely the guy that kind of I always looked up to when I was coming through the ranks.
Yeah, great pick, great pick. He's a great guy. He's actually, he's on TSN. He's quite the good commentator as well. I think that hockey experience really helped him for sure. What would be your favorite thing to eat?
My favorite thing to eat is probably like, man, you know what? I gotta be honest, pretty simple. I really like Chipotle, like bowls and burritos, and it's just kind of easy fix like that.
Yeah, in Arizona, you gotta the southern roots. Their food is so good. That's one thing I really remember from my Make-A-Wish trip is just the burritos and the quesadillas, just the Mexican kind of food. You know what I mean? It's definitely a staple there. Growing up as a young child or teenager, who was your idol athlete growing up?
I think it was probably Ray again. I kind of maybe answered that the first one, but it was just I think just to get a guy that was from my hometown, and just kind of was everyone knew him in town, and we used to go to the same lake in the summer times, and you'd see him working out and running, and going over to hang out with his kids, and being around him was probably probably like as a really young guy, and then as I got older and became a pretty big Canucks fan, I think Marcus Naslund was like I loved watching Marcus Naslund. I mean that the Vancouver Canucks era there when those guys were all there were pretty special times to be close to, I guess, as a BC kid.
Yeah, Naslund. I like that pick. That he was one of my favorites growing up too. Just like I liked all the Canadian teams as a kid because the Leafs weren't that great. They wouldn't really make the playoffs, so you kind of had to have a few backups there. So Naslund's a good one, and the Sedins as well. I think that they were good as well. So is there any? I was wondering if there was a funny hockey story that you like to tell people.
Oh boy, um, funny hockey story. Oof, that's like put me on the spot here. I got to think a little bit about that one. Funny story. You know what, man? I don't really have any like crazy weird stories. I mean, when I was playing junior in Vancouver, we were busing. This isn't necessarily a funny story, but it's like junior hockey, to its finest. We were busing to Medicine Hat from Vancouver, so we had practiced, and then you get on the bus with wet gear or whatever, and you're driving through the winter into Alberta, so it's quite cold, and the bus, no, there was flooding or something on the road, and we couldn't get through, so we had to spend the night over, and we had to wake up and practice on where I think we were in Fernie or something, and the rink was freezing cold, man, like freezing cold, and the gear was wet from when we had practiced and then gone under the bus, so like it was like frozen gear, man. Putting it on and getting out there on the ice was like, oh, it was a tough, tough day, but that was probably like one of the weirder junior hockey stories I had.
Yeah, for sure. No, nothing wrong with that. I figured it would be hard to think. There's probably so many as well that just, I'm sure in an hour from now, you'd be like, oh yeah, this one. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What would be your proudest moment outside of hockey?
Oh boy, proudest moment outside of hockey would probably be, um, I guess probably just making it through this event that had happened, and still having the and not burning any relationships, loved ones, or anything like that. I feel like when you're going through times like this and frustration, and everyone's frustrated, everyone's scared, everyone's tired, there's there's a lot of things that can go wrong, so probably just making it through there and basically unscathed with all the kind of close relationships that I had.
Yeah, for sure. Then, like I said, thanks again for sharing that because that's like it provides a lot of perspective, and I think it's like you say, it teaches you so much, and I think y- you're also probably like me proud of the support system around you because without them honestly, we'd probably be a mess. You know what I mean? It'd be just, oh, woe is me all the time. And I think having those people in your life really do provide that perspective.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, for me, when I moved away from home when I was 15, to start chasing the dream, and when I got hurt, more than a decade later, you try and spend as much time as you can with your family while you're playing, but you're so razor focused on, I never went home to trail. I was always training in different cities, trying to get better around, people with, maybe a couple more resources and better competition and stuff. So from the time I turned 15 to now, I never really had spent much time home. I mean, I continued to have those relationships, obviously close relationships with my family. My mom would come down a few times a year. We'd talk on the phone every night, and, brothers, the same thing on the phone and visits and stuff like that. But you never really think about it. And, now that this all happened to me and I went through this, it's just like, your family is, they're the pillars, man. They're the foundation that get you through things. And, you might not always agree, and there might be some fights and, some words exchange that you might regret after. But it seems to me, especially in my situation, that they kind of built us a stronger foundation and brought us closer together, which is, pretty cool nowadays. And talk to my brothers, we used to talk a couple times a week or text back and forth, and now I feel like I'm talking to them almost every day. And so it's kind of in a way brought our family back close together after the separation for so many years.
Yeah, for sure. I'm very grateful for the technology, and like you say, blood is thicker than water. It doesn't matter what happens at the end of the day. They're still your family, and it's really good to be able to turn to them for sure. So just back into the questions here a little bit. Apart from your Heart Foundation, what other charities and awareness groups do you support?
You know what? I haven't really Challenge Athletes Foundation. I don't know if you know about Challenge Athletes
Yep.
Foundation. Yeah, they're I've gotten quite close with them, and so I'm a big supporter of Challenge Athletes Foundation. I mean, I guess there's so many out there now. It's hard to even, because for me, I'm in the amputee community, I'm in the cardiac community, and then I get, connected with guys such as yourself, and exposed to life like, that you guys live, and how different it is from ours, but we're all going through challenges. So there's a lot of different ones that, I've come into contact with, and really enjoy and support. But I think obviously the two is mine and Challenge Athletes Foundation. I really think what they do is amazing, and glad to be a part of that team.
Yeah, for sure. And again, thanks again for raising that awareness, because it is quite amazing. The Challenge Athletes is, I don't really like, I know about them and I've seen videos and stuff, but I can't play, so it's not really my forte. But it's as a sports fan myself, to see them helping the disabled community play sports and just be active is quite inspiring, because the sky is the limit. During the lockdown, obviously it's a little harder to support these groups and whatnot, but during the lockdown, it feels almost as if we're closer together. How do you feel people can keep raising that awareness during this time?
You talking like what type of awareness, like cardiac awareness, or like
Really just
challenge
anything.
athletes?
Yeah, really just anything, like any support that people support, any cause that people support. How do you think we can keep the awareness going?
Well, I think just videos, and you see all these challenges online that people are doing, and keeping people together. I think it's I like, again, like I said, to me, or for me, like when I first got hurt and watching all those videos of guys, and I've always been kind of a private person and not really out in the open. But I think now it's important for me to share little wins that I have, whether it be in the gym or playing golf, or buzzing around in different ways. And just, I think it's funny, at first you never know really what limitations you're going to have, and then you realize, wow, there's really not any limitations to what I can do. I maybe just don't do it as quickly or as well as I used to do it. So I think with the online platforms you have now with Instagram and Twitter, and I think it's great to share little wins. And I used to always think like, that's no, is that like a brag, or is that a little bit cocky sending a video like that? But I think about it, and every time I watched a video like that, it gave me hope, and it kind of inspired me. And I feel like if I got that from them, and hopefully I can try and give back that in some other way as well.
Yeah, definitely. And there's so many videos out there, and I think the disabled community needs as much awareness as it can get, and it has gotten better, but I think it's important to continue that, because if we stop now, then there's still issues that affect me, you, and many others that there isn't the resources available. But I think that's one of the main reasons I did this, is because what, I might as well share the stories of fellow disabled people and other people who do work with these groups, because it really is important, right? Like it's really good to see.
Yeah, I mean, it's like watching it. It's like having idols, like you grow up, you love hockey. I'm sure the kids of today are watching Crosby and McDavid, and it gives them hope and inspires them. And maybe some of us amputees aren't playing on the world's biggest platform anymore, or have millions of people watching us every day. But I feel like once you kind of get integrated in this community, and you learn different things, and there's some really good follows on Instagram and YouTube and all that stuff. I feel like it's, hey man, we all got our own battles and fights, but we all keep pushing forward in our own ways. And it's important to show that to other people that are maybe new to the community, or have been disheartened, or mentally just don't quite feel confident enough to do it yet.
For sure. And well, Craig, that's about all I have for you. But again, thank you so much for doing this. I really appreciate the support, and you helping me raise the awareness.
Yeah, you got it, bud. Hope you can piece all those together. And when it got paused, I was like, oh man, we're gonna have to start over again. So
Yeah, no, I got it. I should be good. And I'll definitely send you a link out when it's posted.
cool, bud. Have a great day, man. See you.
Yeah, you too. Thanks again.
You got it. Bye.
Bye.